Guys, Intuit just completely gutted their staff. They fired over 3,000 people, which equates to about 17% of their total staff. But what would make them make a change like this? Why would they have such a significant firing right now? Well, we're going to get into it in this video. And I also have a message to all the married men out there, because AI is impacting men in a very different way, I think, than women. Not that women aren't impacted, but anyway, stick around to the end and we'll cover that. Back to Intuit, they've actually seen a 39% drop in their stock over the past year, which is obviously pretty bad, not a good thing. And what I think is even more fascinating is after announcing this layoff, this mass layoff, it led to an additional 5% drop in their stock. But what's really interesting is the reason why these firings happen. And quite frankly, this is not the first time we've heard this story. They, quote, aim to streamline their operations. Okay, pretty obvious. They want to streamline their operations and they want to double down on AI efforts. And more on that in just a moment. Before we go too deep in that, I don't want you to think that you just have to take my word for it. Listen to what the CEO, Sasan Goodarzi, said when he emailed the staff. He gave them words that, well, nobody really wants to hear. He said that they are reducing complexity and simplifying structure to help deliver better products. And who is Intuit? If you're not clear on who Intuit is, they're a financial tech platform that develops software for businesses, a lot of times small business. They have produced a ton of software, which you've probably heard of: TurboTax, QuickBooks, Credit Karma, MailChimp. I'm familiar with all these softwares. I've used all of them at some point in my small business ventures myself. But I think what is really important here to understand about, well, not just Intuit, but every company, but in this case, Intuit, is that AI isn't optional anymore. AI is the present and AI is the future. And we've been covering this on the channel. We've been predicting this for months now, that 2026 is the year where companies stop looking at AI as just a tool, but start looking at AI as an actual employee. And in fact, a few weeks ago, I'll post a link to the video here, we showed that companies are actually including AI agents in their organizational charts. It's not just for humans anymore. Now they're implementing AI agents, and you've probably seen this or even do this yourself. You call your AI assistant or AI agents a human name like Steve. Well, let me ask my HR rep, Steve. Let me ask my marketing guru, Alex. You know, you're gonna have these AI agents on you. Every company now either has or is looking to include AI agents on their staff. In fact, go to their website. I'll post a link. All the references for the stories are in the links below. But the banner of their website states, if you above the fold, right when you log in to or log onto their website, it says, outdo your financial goals all in one place. Okay, that's the main header. And then the subheadline is, the Intuit platform puts a team of AI agents and trusted experts by your side. Keyword AI agents, guys. I gotta say, I'm really shocked at how many people are just kind of burying their heads in the sand on the impact that AI agents are having on every organization, but particularly in these type of software and tech platforms. Anyway, Intuit has signed some pretty big deals this year. They've signed a deal with Anthropic, who is the creator of Claude, and OpenAI, which is the creator of ChatGPT. And they plan to integrate their data, their first-party data, their mountains and mountains of user data into these high-powered LLMs for enhanced personalized tax, assistance, finance, accounting, and marketing, all with the goal of giving customers the best results at the best price. We're going to talk a little bit more about that here in just a moment. The reality here is that everybody knows, or probably at least should know, and if you don't, I think this is important to understand, is that in order for you to get the best results from an LLM, it's more than just having a great prompt. A great prompt certainly helps being clear, being concise, knowing how to kind of order the request that you have. But you need better prompts, you need better context. And the context is important here because when a big SaaS platform like, some of these SaaS platforms that Intuit creates, they have so much rich, personalized, specific user data. And by feeding that into an LLM, it helps to get better information on the back end. Example, we've been going through Claude Cowork. I hosted a workshop for Claude Cowork about a month ago. More stuff like that is coming soon. I know there's guys that missed that and they want to get in on the next workshop that we're going to do. And I'll announce when that's prepared. Just got a lot of projects going on right now. But in any event, one of the things that you can do with Claude and Claude Cowork is create skill files about me, about my business, what my goals are, references. You can upload spreadsheets, docs, all sorts of skill files. And the better your first party data, the data that you have on yourself or on your customers, your ideal customers, the better that data is, the better the results you're going to get from the LLM itself. In addition to that, you need to create a flywheel, and that's what these companies look to do as well. As they get results out, you kind of spit back in the best results. One of the things that you can do with Claude, for example, is oftentimes, or you can do this with ChatGPT, oftentimes when you're using an LLM, you're gonna kind of go back and forth, until you get an end result that you're happy with. At that point, you can simply ask the LLM, hey, I plan to do this type of task in the future. Maybe it's blog writing or email writing or some sort of data analysis, whatever it is. You can say, in order for us to get to the best result as quickly as possible, could you give me an example prompt or create a skill file in order to get to the best result as quickly as possible without all the back and forth. So that's a quick little AI tip. And of course, you can click the link in the comments below for more tips and tricks on how to get the most out of your LLMs. Anyway, back to Intuit. The staff layoffs are going to happen fast. They are going to be concluded on July 31st. And quite frankly, the people getting laid off are not getting the worst deal in the world. They're going to receive about 16 weeks of base pay. That gives them a few months to get back on their feet, and then plus 2 weeks. So basically, you're going to have 4 weeks to kind of find a new job. But quite frankly, as we've covered before, it's not exactly an easy time for people in these types of careers to find new jobs. And this is, again, why I've been a big proponent on creating side projects, side hustles, additional streams of income. So if you do get laid off and you've got that kind of buffer, you can start to take all that, 40, 50, 60 hours a week that you've been putting into that primary job into your side projects, your side hustles, consulting, client work, that sort of thing. And you can kind of adjust and shift your attention over to other projects. In addition to that, they are also closing down some offices, specifically in Reno and in Woodland Hills. So look, what does this all mean? And what does it mean for you? Well, the future of business right now, the present and future of business, is about removing multiple levels of administrative bloat. One of the things that we find in organizations is over time, they just get filled up with a lot of bloat, a lot of people that are kind of like cogs in the wheel, and they're not profit bearing, and a lot of those people are getting cut out. The additional problem that we're seeing is gutting the entry ladder to the career, the entry level rung to the career ladder. So again, kids getting out of college, if you're trying to break into a career, it's certainly more difficult. The most impacted roles that we're seeing are these roles that are very repetitive and automatable tasks. So if you look and kind of audit your day and how much time you spend doing different things, there's probably a good amount of that is automatable. And quite frankly, I think those are the types of things that we should be focused on and actually trying to automate. More on that in just a second. Some of the most common, some of the roles that we're going to be seeing automated here in this kind of financial world that we're seeing over at Intuit is going to be customer support bots, bookkeeping, operations. Again, the way that we're kind of trending here is that whatever industry or career you're in, you're going to be, if not already, very soon going to be leveraging AI agents to perform tasks. I'll even give you an example. One of the clients I do work for, I'm focused on getting, I focus a lot on content, right? So YouTube, social media, blog writing. And blog writing used to cost me a lot of money to do. I had an assistant, and I kind of talked about this. I've now started using Claude Cowork to write out blogs, design blogs, SEO optimize, and I think it does a pretty good job at that. We also optimize them for answer engine optimization so that these blogs show up in answer engines like ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, etc. And in fact, over the past few weeks, we've seen a huge spike in the amount of traffic from ChatGPT for one of my clients. And what we've also seen is that clients or customers that come from ChatGPT have a much higher lifetime value. So anyway, I'm kind of geeking out a little bit on how to show up on ChatGPT. But anyway, back to my original point here. In the past, I would have a person writing the blog. Now I have Claude Cowork write the blog, and then I have my assistant go in and optimize it, beautify it, etc. But what I found is that where I used to have a human doing 100% of the job, now they're doing about 20% of the job, just kind of like the final touches. And I think that's kind of the future where we're going. And hopefully, quite frankly, I'm able to get Claude Cowork to a point where it can do 100% of the blog and post it. I mean, I think that's a better place to be, at least for me. Director of marketing for an organization, and then I have an army of bots that are performing tasks. The reality though is, at least right now, I'm not 100% sold that they're gonna be able to do everything, which is why I have humans that are assisting me to get these jobs done. But again, what might have taken someone 2 hours to do, now they can do in about 10 minutes. That's a big, big shift in the way that humans operate in the workplace. Furthermore, 17% of the layoffs this year, guys, are directly related to AI automation and implementation. And I do just want to kind of highlight what this looks like in practice and how these companies are kind of seeing this work out. So essentially what they're doing is they say, hey, first, we want to at least maintain current revenue and or grow it, but we want to maintain. We're going to freeze hiring, and we covered this last month. Jerome Powell announced that there was essentially net zero new job creation in the private market. And then what they do is, with all that savings, is they redirect it into AI infrastructure, into AI agents. And then they rebuild these workflows around these smaller AI teams. Just kind of how I explained in this simple blog example on how I'm using Claude Cowork. Now, how do I adjust? How should you be adjusting? This, again, it was up to you what you want to do, but this is kind of how I see it. So I want to build AI agents to replace me. I want AI agents to perform my job as good, if not better, than the way I do it. And what I mean by, and there's a big difference here between training the model or the model being trained off of me. And I kind of want to explain this real briefly. So in my case, I'm actually building out AI agents and AI skills in order to save me time. So I can spend less time doing things that are tedious, repetitive, automatable, right? However, there's another way that this is being manifested, and I'll post a link to this video here from Meta, because a lot of the employees over at Meta got really ticked off recently because Meta rolled out essentially a mouse clicking software. So anytime they're clicking on links and moving around the interwebs, or in their CRMs or whatever, anything they're doing on the computer is being tracked. And then what Meta is doing is leveraging all that data to train AI agents. That's not where you want to be, because in that role, you're not learning any new skills. You're not actually adding value. You're just it's basically like having someone look over your shoulder, cheating, taking down all of your notes and all of your quiz answers, and then turning it in, and you get a 0 and they get all the credit. I don't know if that makes sense. You don't want to be in a situation where AI models are learning directly from you. You want to be the one that's building the AI models. That is the AI agents. That is a much, much better place to be, because you're building a very, very relevant skill for 2026 and beyond. And the second big piece that I'm focused on is, again, creating additional income streams. And what I think is cool is that AI allows us to build offerings much, much faster. So even if you, like in the past, you might say, Mark, I don't have 3 hours a night to work on my side hustle like Gary Vaynerchuk says. Well, you probably don't need that right now. If you're using a program like Claude or Replit or ChatGPT, you can actually start to build out side incomes with, 30 minutes to an hour a night, depending on how much time you have. It's much easier to create and build now than it's been in the past from a time perspective. So anyway, that's what's happening over at Intuit, and they're not the only ones. We covered this in a video yesterday over at Standard Chartered, which is a huge London-based bank that is firing thousands of people. You can go check out that link from yesterday's video. And before I let you go, guys, I do just want to share a quick comment. I had gotten, yesterday, I had kind of shared what I think is something that's not being talked about enough, which is how AI is going to really impact men's ability to remain relevant, respected, and financially free. And frankly, I think that's important for us as men. If we don't have relevant skills, we can't actually gain respect from others. And if we don't men need respect, guys. I don't know what to tell you women out there who think that we don't, that we're just put on earth to serve you. I don't think that that really works out. Men need to be relevant so that they can gain respect. And with that respect comes financial freedom. In any event, I kind of shared a quick story yesterday because there's a lot of pressure on men to be providers. Men are providers. And that, again, creates a lot of pressure on us because not only do we need to provide financially, we need to provide emotionally, we need to provide from a time standpoint, we need to manage all the kids, the kid situations that we have, if you've got children. So if you're married, you have a job and you have kids, and you have children, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The immense amount of pressure that's out there. And then when you add AI automation and job displacement on top of it, it creates an immense amount of pressure, right? It creates an immense amount of pressure. So anyway, yesterday I kind of shared this story where I had, a debate, argument, disagreement with my wife. And one of the viewers of the video left a comment. He said that, quote, "This was a serious signal from your wife." And I wanted to address that here real briefly. I wasn't sure whether to do it in this video or another video, but I wanted to share it real quick here. Because I agree. If happy wife, happy life, that still applies. Happy wife, happy life applies just about as consistently as women be shopping. And again, all my married men know exactly what I'm talking about. In any event, I agree that this was a signal from my wife, and we talked it out. As someone who's been married over 10 years, I've been married for 12 years now, I've been with my wife almost 20 years. I can say that a few things hold true here, at least in my experience. And that's that, typically women are more emotional and men are more quantitative, right? I want to look at numbers, I want to look at statistics, I want to look at facts, whereas women are more, how does it make me feel? This is how you make me feel. And the example I'd given yesterday was she had kind of made a remark that, you never answer my phone calls. And I'm like, actually, it looks like over the past 30 days, I only missed one phone call from you. All the other calls that I either declined or missed, I called you back within about 15 minutes. I run a business, I'm coaching baseball, I'm doing a lot of different things, maybe I'm at the gym, there's different things that are potentially going on. So anyway, just want to address that user's comment. Yes, serious signal from my wife, A, and B, we had to sit down and talk about it. And the way that I at least tackled it, and I think we're on the same page now until our next disagreement. And by the way, there is no marriage that's perfect out there. If your wife ever says to you, like, I feel like you don't love me as much as Jim loves Jane, just be like, listen, baby, nobody except for maybe me on this channel is actually putting out like the reality behind relationships. Nobody does that. All we do is show Disney World type of relationships. And the point where I'm kind of going with this is that by sitting down with her, getting real with her, opening up the phone and showing her the exact data, the exact response and saying, hey, does this feel acceptable to you? Like, what is your expectation as far as how quickly I get back to you and how quickly I communicate with you? Because if you say to me, Mark, this isn't acceptable, I can try to be better and we can actually look at the numbers on it. Same thing with shopping, the same thing with budgeting, the same thing with time spent. So anyway, I just wanted to address that comment because that comment did kind of hit me a little bit because I want to make sure I have a good relationship with my wife. I think it's important for me, for her, for our community, for family, and especially for our children. So, undergirding, underneath all of that is ability to remain relevant, respected, and financially free, and navigating this really tumultuous moment in time where AI is disrupting, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of jobs. So anyway, that's it for today, boys. If you like today's video, check out yesterday's video. We can find more out about that story, more of the background about that story. And you can see what's happening over at Standard Chartered. You can check out the video here. I'll see you in the next one, boys. Peace.